Okay, in this video I'm going to take a look at a question that comes up regularly enough. I know it's a fairly frequent question, and that is, what is the average settlement amount in a personal injuries claim? So if that's of any interest to you, then stay tuned. If you've suffered a personal injury and you are getting compensation, then this video is just going to address how the amount of compensation is calculated. Basically, the Injuries Board will make an assessment in the first instance, and it will put a value on your personal injury and your losses. Now, there are two aspects to the compensation. One is general damages, and the other aspect is special damages. Special damages is out-of-pocket expenses, so loss of wages, hospital bills, perhaps physiotherapy, maybe a taxi from the scene of an accident, all out of prescription pills, etc. All of these out-of-pocket expenses are special damages. They're relatively easy and straightforward to calculate because you're just going to produce receipts and vouchers and so on, and you're going to be compensated for those. The other aspect of compensation in a personal injuries claim is for general damages. General damages is for loss or pain and suffering, essentially. So loss of amenity, but basically pain and suffering. So you break an arm or you break a leg, clearly there's a certain element of, or indeed a whiplash injury or whatever, there's a certain element of pain and suffering involved, and obviously the amount that you're going to be awarded by way of general damages by the Injuries Board or indeed by a court is going to be depending on the actual injury and how bad it is. Now, there is a starting point for assessing the value or quantity that you're going to be awarded in respect of an injury, and that starting point is the Book of Quantum. So if you go to this website here, the Injuries Board website that I'm on now, you'll see injuriesboard.ie up there on the left hand side, and you go down here then to forms and guidelines, and if you scroll down here you'll see Book of Quantum. The Book of Quantum is a guide for the level of compensation someone is likely to receive depending on the nature and extent of their injuries. So you can have a look then at the Book of Quantum online, and it will give you a very, very good idea of what the Injuries Board is going to give you, and ultimately what a court might give you if you're forced to go to court. Now, the whole area of personal injuries, how the Injuries Board works, making a personal injuries claim, etc., etc. All of these aspects, all of these topics are covered in other videos that I've done, and which are on my YouTube channel and which are on my website businessandlegal.ie. This specific video is just concerned with how the assessment is arrived at for general damages for pain and suffering. So as you can see, the starting point will be the Book of Quantum. And if you scroll down and have a look, you can have a close look at this. You'll see it's divided into a number of sections. Essentially, I think there's maybe 6 or 7 sections. So if you take head injuries, for example, you're going to see the different range of, we'll have a look at that now. Yeah, you'll see the whole book is divided up into 6 sections, and it deals with various parts of your body, so ankle, foot, toes, etc., in the lower limb injuries section. So if we go along just maybe to the first section to give you an idea how to use the Book of Quantum. Obviously you want to read that and see exactly how to use it, because essentially it's going to look at 6 different categories, and it's telling you to identify the category of injury, understand the severity of the injury using the medical report, look up the value range, and then consider the effect of multiple injuries. So that's the 4 steps that you would be taking, or that the Injuries Board will take in assessing an injury. So you can see a sample assessment there. There's general damages for pain and suffering, 7,200. Here's the special damages that I mentioned to you a minute ago, medication, physiotherapy, doctor's fees, etc. And the total settlement then, or total assessment from the Injuries Board, would be 8 grand. Now, if we go on to specific sections, if we look at, for example, head injuries, and we just take a look at so head and skull injury, and we're looking at a minor one where there's no loss of consciousness, up to 21,800 is the value. A moderate one where there is loss of consciousness for less than 24 hours, you're looking at between 19,000 and 35,200. And a severe head injury, loss of consciousness for more than 24 hours, you're looking at a range of a compensation between 41,600 and 74,000. And again, it goes through the various injuries that you can sustain in relation to your head, and you're looking at, as I say, different bands and different ranges. So you have a minor skull fracture, a moderate or a severe and permanent condition arising from a skull fracture, and you'll see that it can range from 34,700 to 66,000 for a minor skull fracture, from 73,000 to 124,000 for a severe and permanent condition arising from a skull fracture. The exact same principle applies through all of these assessments. So injuries affecting hearing and so on and so forth, facial injuries. So again, you have minor, moderate and severe and permanent, and the ranges then will be set out here. This will give you a good idea of what you might be entitled to in an injuries claim. It could be for whiplash, it could be for a broken leg, a broken arm, broken finger, or whatever that you might have sustained in work. It could be a back injury, and essentially you'll get a good idea of what the amount is going to be assessed at by the injuries board. Now, you don't have to accept it, and the other party doesn't have to accept the amount either. If that's the case and you don't accept it, well, then you go off to court and you bring your case there by way of a personal injury summons. So that's essentially how the injury is assessed in terms of general damages. It depends on the degree of the injury, how bad or how severe it is. It'll depend on the prognosis for recovery, how quickly you might recover, and it also will then take into account multiple injuries. So you might also, in addition to experiencing a whiplash, you might also have suffered a back injury and perhaps an arm injury. You can simply work your way through this book and it'll give you a good idea. Hope you find this useful. So if you want to learn more about personal injuries in Ireland, personal injury claims, how they are dealt with, how they're prosecuted in court, where necessary, etc., go to my website, businessandlegal.ie, and this is the website here. Scroll right down to the bottom of the page and you'll see a section down here. Where is it at all? Personal injury claims. Click there and you're going to see a huge amount of information on the website about personal injuries, the statute of limitations, in other words, the time within which you must bring a claim, and so on and so forth. So that's my website, Terry Gorry and Company Solicitors, but the URL is businessandlegal.ie. Hope you find this video useful. If you do, you might share or comment or give it a thumbs up down below, and you might be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. I have quite a lot of information on there, YouTube, about personal injury claims and various other videos and so on. Thank you.